Hello, everybody. Barb Ashcroft with Compassion in Action, and happy to be here again. And I have a lovely guest with me, Nancy Mullings, and I am going to let Nancy introduce herself to all you folks out there.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Barb, for the opportunity. It's Nadine Mullings. I know we said Nadine before we hit record, and then
Oh,
it, and then
what did I say?
Nancy, but that's okay.
What? Oh my goodness.
Sometimes it just comes out that way. But I'm so grateful for this opportunity to share with your audience. So I'm Nadine Mullings with Nadine Mullings Marketing Agency. And I work with women of faith in business who have service-based businesses. So if you think of things like coaches, consultants, content creators, those are usually the people that I love to work with because they are in the space of transformation, just helping to transform people's lives, whether it's financially, their health, their fitness, whatever it may be. And I really teach them how to be strategic when it comes to marketing. I find that a lot of businesses, no matter what industry you're in, don't have a written marketing plan. They don't have a strategy on how they're going to market and promote their business. So my goal, my passion really is to help these women based businesses to create a strategic marketing plan that allows them to be specific and also spirit led in how they market and promote themselves in the marketplace so that they can reach the people that they're called to serve in the marketplace. So that's what I do. That's the work I do in the world. And that's the individuals that I help to really help them to push their message out there so they can reach more people and get more clients.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I love talking strategies. I mean, I that just floats my boat, you know.
Yes. We're on the same
And
page. Not everyone likes strategy, so we're unique, Barb.
are we? Oh, good. Well, that's good to know. Well, I know you also focus around your business around core values. And when we had an earlier discussion, we really felt um, a Velcro point on compassion. And of course, obviously, my passion project is compassion in action. And
Yes.
just as early as yesterday, it's so interesting when you have a mantra, that's just called a mantra, that it seems to be able to open up your eyes to individuals that have challenges.
Mm,
And I just really felt a rebirth of a why for me was that there's so many folks post COVID that
mm,
were either neglected or didn't have the availability of the resources that we've had in the past.
yeah,
And there's just a whole pile of people out there that are now suffering a lot of the health consequences from
yeah.
that. And it just, I was sharing with my business team yesterday about Matthew 9:36, I think it is.
Mm,
And it's based on when he saw the multitudes,
mm.
he had compassion. Uh,
Awesome.
And I just thought, wow. And it just took me right back to a place where one of my most favorite uncles was close to, his departure time. And
Mm,
he was not a man of faith.
okay.
You know, allowed his wife to participate, etc., but he was never an active component. And I felt
Mm,
I had to get on a plane and I had to get there before that end time because I just felt I need to be there, and it was so interesting that I ended up going to a service that
mhm,
Sunday morning and it was all on healing. And the
mm,
pastor shared some key things that I just was so touched by this in the last 2 days. And the teaching was God is compassion. It's not
mm.
has compassion.
Ah,
He is compassion. So there's no lack of supply. And
yes, I love
I
it.
know, I know it fortified me to be able to go and you know, be there at my uncle's bedside. But wow, I mean, it's just such uh, a privilege to have a calling where you can be led and inspired, and then be amongst folks like yourself that are also helping direct people as to strategies to access what they need and still live their passion and be able to, be collaboration focused and heart centered and mission minded and all that. So,
Yeah.
anyways, that was a bit of a bunny trail that I didn't know I was going to be talking on, but it just it just really struck me that yes, we need to know that he is compassion. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that, Barb. And I feel it's actually not a bunny trail. It's definitely significant that you mentioned that because just today, in my newsletter that goes out to my email list, I said, God is love, right?
oh,
So I was saying that welcome to February. It's February 1st today at the time of this recording. And we think of it a lot of times as the month of love because of Valentine's Day. So love is in the air, during February. So I really felt in my spirit to talk about love and
mm,
to really tell in my newsletter that God is love. The word
mhm,
says God is love. And it's important to remember that God has an everlasting love for us. God has an unconditional love for us. God has free love for us, right? We don't have to pay for it. It's free, unconditional, and everlasting, his love. So it's very similar to, like you said, God is compassion, right? Because when you have love, you have compassion. So it just makes sense that God is love, therefore, God is compassion. So I think it just ties in beautifully with the topic and also with what I wrote in my newsletter and, kind of the theme for February with the theme being love. So I appreciate you sharing that.
oh, that's cool. Many more Velcro points to discover, I'm sure, over the time. So,
Yeah.
so tell us maybe a few scenarios where you possibly help a lady entrepreneur, coach, consultant, whatever, and how you've been able to use your strategies that you've been blessed with to be able to give them a path to be on
Yeah.
their way.
Yeah, so I'd love to answer that question in this way. I think, Barb, for me, God has been really working on my spirit that marketing, the way that you promote and market your business is really love. It's the
Mhm,
love that you have for those people that God has called you to serve. So you have to have compassion, for where they're at in their lives, no matter what business you have. If you're coming from a place, and He put in my heart empathy, compassion and sympathy, right? I think we talked about this before,
mhm,
all three things. And
mhm,
they're slightly different. And I actually journaled about it, and I'd love to share it with your audience. We're
mhm,
going to focus on compassion, but it's
mhm,
important to have all three. So
mhm,
when it comes to servicing and working with coaches and consultants and the work that I do with helping them with strategy, I first come from a place of love and making sure that I'm practicing compassion, empathy, and sympathy for their situation and what they're
mhm.
going through. And I think that's a great starting point for any business, for any person, is really leaning into those three things: compassion, empathy, and sympathy. And I'd love to just share what I journaled about all
Yes,
three,
please.
which
Yes, please.
actually is is a journal entry that was just a couple days ago, January 17th. And it says empathy identifies your emotions, thoughts, or attitudes of your audience. So if you think of when it comes to marketing, really understanding the emotions, the thoughts, and the attitudes of the people that you're serving allows you to have empathy for that group. Then the next piece is compassion, what we're talking about today. Compassion is slightly different than empathy in that it really is about deep sympathy. Now you're sympathizing and you actually almost have sorrow, like how you
Mhm,
talked about in the beginning, the story about Jesus having compassion for the individuals,
mhm,
the multitude. he had sorrow for the fact that there were so many of them, there was no
Mhm.
food to feed them. So he felt that sorrow. So it's more of
Mhm.
a sense of sorrow and a strong desire to alleviate their suffering. So
Mhm.
same thing with the scripture verse that you just read. Then he had a strong desire to alleviate the suffering that they were going through, the hunger and so it definitely correlates with that scripture verse that
Mhm.
you shared with your team this morning. So
Mhm.
that is compassion, deep sympathy and sorrow accompanied by strong desire to alleviate the suffering. And then sympathy is the feeling of sorrow or compassion for another, an agreement in feelings or emotions between two people. So a lot of times you may have sympathy for something that happened or something somebody went through. So you have that sympathy for that individual. So all three things are really needed to be successful in marketing and promoting your business. And all three things are what I try to lead with when I'm working with my clients and also teaching my clients how to lead with these three things: compassion, empathy, and sympathy. So I kind of just wanted to first share those
Mhm.
definitions. And I think the key thing about compassion that makes compassion stand out is now you want to provide a solution. So,
Mhm.
what is that solution that your business has that you're offering in the marketplace? That is compassion. Business is compassion. You saw the need of the marketplace, you saw the need of your client, and now you're offering a solution in the form of a product or in the form of a service. So, I work with my clients with really helping them around the strategy piece. Barbara and I talked about how we both love strategy, but I've learned that not everyone does. Some people just love to like be spontaneous and just do the thing. So I come to the table, helping my clients, coaches and consultants and content creators to really be strategic, to really offer them a solution by offering the whole package of creating strategy with them. So I'm really compassionate with their needs and
Mhm.
understanding that they don't have that same drive for strategy as I do. So I offer that solution in the marketplace in order to assist them in the needs that they have. So hopefully that answered your question.
No, no, that's excellent. And for me, how I got this compassion in action was, I think it was Brene Brown was
Mm,
did a short video on sympathy, empathy, and compassion.
there you
And
go.
I was doing um uh, I was reading Max Lucado.
Mm,
My husband has a Max Lucado Bible, and they have all the side notes from Max
mhm,
Lucado on the side. And at that point, it said, "But God's vision or version of compassion is that it's always followed by action." And
mhm.
so that's the defining difference between the sympathy and the empathy, is that compassion is always followed by action, whether it's feeding the thousands with a few fish and loaves, or what we do in the marketplace. And it's such a needy time. I know, with dealing with uh, and supporting people going through loss for the last several years with my compassion in action, I'm finding it's almost morphing, that
Mm,
loss is getting sort of a bigger bucket. It's not just
mm.
losing someone, it's now morphing to losing either uh, a business or an income
Yeah,
or a relationship or a marriage. It's just,
exactly.
but it all encompasses us needing to come from compassion in that surroundings of being around all the and supporting those people and serving those people. So it's been quite a journey, and I'm thrilled to have met you along the way with some other outreach. Now, tell me some of the things that you had mentioned before. I know you're obviously on LinkedIn, and I'll be putting all your contact information in the show notes so that people
Awesome.
can find you. But
Yeah.
I know you have several different things that you offer. your community or you participate as far as collaboration. Did
Mhm.
you want to share on a few of those that have made a difference for yourself and for your your connections?
Yeah, definitely. I think my biggest collaboration is one of my 7 core values for my business. I believe that we're stronger together. I believe that we go further together. So it's important to partner and collaborate with people in order to elevate your message, to reach more people, all those good things. Collaboration is key, and that's probably why it's one of the core values for my company. So I think the biggest collaboration I have is my podcast. So similar to you,
Oh,
Barb, I have
hmm.
a podcast with that's Women Faith Plus Business, and it's the opportunity to really bring guests on to the platform. All of them are women of faith in business who are using their business platforms to glorify God in some way, shape, or form. So they've really taken the step to not just have a purpose-driven business, but making sure that God gets the glory for the business. So I wanted to really share their stories, so I collaborate with them on the podcast and giving them the platform to be able to share their stories as to why they chose to combine their faith and their business, and making sure that they're glorifying God openly in the marketplace. So I think that's probably my biggest collaboration to date, because every season I just wrapped up season 7 of the Women Faith Plus Business podcast, and every season except for one season was a solo season. Every season I've interviewed and collaborated with individuals, and allowing them to share their story on the podcast. So I really feel like podcasts and shows are a form of collaboration in where we're
Hmm.
kind of elevating a message, like your message is compassion in action. So we're elevating that message by having a conversation and collaborating on the conversation. So I think that would be my biggest to date collaboration. But I also do things like summits. So I host a
Oh,
virtual
okay.
summit.
Hmm.
It's an annual summit, and the topic varies each year. Last year's the topic was the power of your words, and how
Mm,
powerful our words are, our written words, our spoken words, and how powerful it is when we use our words. And I had about over 12 speakers on that summit, and it was all
mm,
about elevating that message of the power of your words. The year before that was about the power of divine alignments. Then we had the power of your voice. So I do a lot of collaborations on getting the message out in the form of summits as well as podcasts. So
mm,
that will be a core collaboration that I do on an annual basis with the summit. So between the summits, the podcasts, and even individuals, like there's several people that we even do the same things. We do similar, we're both in the marketing space, but we will collaborate on a workshop, or we'll collaborate on a webinar, or even programs. So I really believe in the spirit of collaboration and the fact that there's enough for everyone. So there's no need for competition, right? I'm not competing with you, because what God has for you is for you, and what God has for me is for me. So let's get together and collaborate
mhm.
and elevate the message so we can all reach more people.
That's marvelous. That's terrific because truly it takes not only a village, but really uh, the whole the whole collaboration bundle just
Yeah,
magnifies because, as you know, people hear different things from different people and we're able to put
exactly.
a new spin on it for themselves. And so
Exactly.
instead of just being the monotone, you know, there
Exactly.
you're able to bring the dynamics of that together and
Yeah.
wow, that is truly
Yeah.
wonderful. And I know how much work that entails to put all those together. So
It's
that,
definitely a lot of work, but it's a labor of love. And I truly believe in a rising tide lifts all boats.
mhm,
So everyone that participates on the podcast and the summit has more exposure, visibility. We're all rising as we
mhm,
share this common collective message, right? So
right.
that rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah, it sure does. And that's I think the best way that we can uh, put a bracket on what we're sharing about today, because that's what we really are focusing on here, folks, is
Mm.
collaboration, but being around like-minded individuals. that you can build up your faith, build up your confidence in being able to share. And
Yeah.
Nadine,
I'll
and
answer
so,
to Nancy too. I'll answer to
oh,
Nancy.
I don't even, I'm just surprised that came up. So folks, we're going to put a pause in today, and I'm sure we'll have Nadine back again because there's lots to talk about. But we know that people can only listen for so long unless they're doing a really good, walk with uh, their earbuds in there to be able to listen to it all. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing. We want to get this out to our listeners and
Yeah.
our newsletter so that they can be blessed as well. And we just want to just turn it over to you, Nadine, for any last final thoughts, what you'd like to encourage anyone with today.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much, Barb, for the opportunity to speak to your audience and to share about compassion in action. And I would leave everyone with how I started, that God is love, and He's teaching God is love and God is compassion, as Barb said. So it's important to lead with love, no matter what you do, whatever work you do in the world, whatever industry you're in. Lead with love, and always remember compassion, empathy, and sympathy, and know that that compassion part is the action part, as Barb said. So that would